Hello everyone, my name is Ella and I work at ScreenSkills. Welcome to our free online training. All of our sessions are funded by Channel 5, BBC and Channel 4. Thank you for joining us today for our lunch with Commissioner Kevin O'Brien, who is the Commissioning Editor for ITV Entertainment. I'll now hand you over to Kevin and Alex, who will start your session. Thanks guys.
Thank you, Ella. Hi everyone, I'm Alex. I'm going to be asking Kev a few questions today. So let's get into it. Hi, Kev.
Hello, Alex. Hello, everyone watching. Weird that we can't see your faces, so please be nice.
Do you want to just tell us your background a little bit first, Kev?
So I've been in TV about 20 years. Anyone who knows me will know that I'm relatively new to commissioning. I only joined late last year, joined Katie's team in ITV Entertainment. But before that, I've always done entertainment, reality, light and dabbled with sport a little bit. Started out at the BBC, did work experience like I imagine many people did. Worked for free for a bit, then got a lucky break, and that break was at BBC Light Entertainment. I was lucky enough to work as a department runner there for then head of Light Entertainment, David Young, who was a bit of an inspiration at the time, and that led to various jobs at the BBC. Worked my way up, game shows, reality, all kinds, and then I think kind of senior research at AP level, went out into the indie sector to see what all that was about, and enjoyed a few years out there, and then spent the latter end of the career at ITV, a lot of it for studios. Until I arrived here with you.
Yay! Great. So thinking back to when you're younger, what did you enjoy most? Like what kind of programs did you enjoy, and what were you influenced by to maybe get into TV in the first place?
My favourite TV show growing up, and I think it's probably the same as a lot of people at my age, was Gladiators. But I used to watch all that kind of Saturday night, real family, prime time, LE viewing. So Gladiators, You Bet, Don't Try This at Home, even Blind Date, I remember. And part of it is I loved those shows. But part of it was just, it was the time when the family all came together and sat down. And I'm one of three sisters. No, I'm not one of the three sisters. I have one of four children. And we all used to gather and sit and watch those programs together. And that was a fun time. And I remember there was a period in my life during A-levels when, you know, you come under that intense pressure from the teachers as to like, are you going to university? What are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to be when you're older? And it's so daunting. I just remember thinking, you can try and do, you can't necessarily do, but you can try and do anything. You can try and be anything you want. So what do I really, really like? And sadly, I decided I really like TV, and so I wanted to work in TV, and I never looked back.
Not sadly for us, Kev. You're very happy. So you got quite a varied CV, but what are you most proud of producing and commissioning?
I'm proud of a lot of the CV, even the ones that absolutely tanked or flopped in the ratings, and there's a couple on there. I'm still proud of all of them in different ways. I really liked the shows which I helped develop. I've done a lot of pilots and a lot of first series, and always enjoyed them probably more than coming in at the end of something. And in recent times, I exec produced the 2018 I'm a Celebrity, which started from a place of, oh my God, how is that going to cope? No ant, surely, you know, it's doomed, it's the end. And, you know, Holly came in, did an amazing job, and everyone who worked on that series they just went above and beyond to ensure that I'm a Celeb still gave viewers what it always did, if not more. And, you know, it went on to be the best rating series they've ever done. It won a BAFTA. It was brilliant. So I'm very proud of that. But others include Red or Black. If anyone's remembered Red or Black, not many people do. That was a massive game show on ITV that still there's nothing really come along since that's been like that. That was a great joy to work on.
Our friends Ant and Deck, yeah? Red and Black?
Yes, I only work with Ant and Deck, yeah. I like working on some of the charity shows, Sport Relief, Tech Santa again at ITV. And right now, in commission, I'm looking after Soccer Aid, and that is just an absolute gift, you know, for a football fan who works in entertainment and likes the charity outside of things without sounding like, oh, I'm amazing. Mm-hmm. It's brilliant, you know, combining all those passions. It's an absolute joy to be a part of.
Lovely. Thanks, Kev. That's a little bit about your background. We're going to move on to the sort of grim topic of coronavirus now, and how that is affecting TV, and in particular ITV's needs. Are there sort of any areas in particular that you are interested in receiving ideas in at the moment? And on the flip side, anything you definitely don't want pitched?
Yes and no. When this all started, we were absolutely inundated, as I'm sure all the broadcasters were, with literally hundreds and hundreds of ideas, which was amazing. It was a real sign of like, indies will not just roll over and be defeated. You know, they all came in their droves with millions of ideas and were pitching for stuff, and it was brilliant to see. But it was also a really hard time because the restrictions were so new and so unlike anything we'd ever had before. It meant that an awful lot of the ideas fell into two categories, which was either an archive show or a self-shot at home show. And within that, a lot of them inevitably felt the same. So we held our nerve a little bit. We didn't jump straight in and commission loads. We did a couple of pilots, and we did a couple of kind of proof of concepts for one or two, but we didn't jump straight into them. And I think we've now decided, along with Kevin Ligo and Rosemary and Katie Rawcliffe, we're not going to do an awful lot of isolation or lockdown programming. The BBC are doing that, and they're doing it very well. Channel 4 are doing a lot of kind of the alternative stuff, and again, doing a great job of it. And we've taken the angle that we're going to offer entertainment as usual. So if you want coronavirus programming, yes, the BBC will do a great job of it. But if you just want entertainment and you want escapism, you want to get away from it all, and you want to just watch good old fashioned telly like you used to be able to watch back in January, then we'll offer that. So we're not kind of going outwardly and saying, bring us your isolation style programming. If anything, I would say we're trying to avoid that. We are looking to commission stuff we would have commissioned before this. Obviously, coronavirus is a thing. The restrictions are a massive thing. So we have to be realistic about what we can make. But in terms of the ideas that are coming in now, or the ideas that I'm asking for, are specifically not lockdown ideas. And if they feel like lockdown, I'm trying to work with that company to say, how can we make this feel like a show that we might have had on anyway? Or how can we make this so that when we come out of lockdown, it can have a life after it? So in terms of what we're not looking for, not wholly isolation style shows.
Yeah. You've probably kind of answered this next question a little bit there, but would you say coronavirus is changing what you're commissioning in the here and now?
Yes, it is. Well, yes and no. No, because we're very much trying to stay business as usual. We're not saying if you've got an idea that's for next year and could be the next time a celebrity, we're not saying hold on to it. You know, don't tell us about it. We're still commissioning further forward. But what's obviously harder is it's harder to focus a lot of time and attention at the moment on those ideas that are a little way away, because the here and now is a more pressing matter. So I would say people who are coming with ideas that are great further down the line, we're probably just not jumping all over them in the same way we are ones that could be made in a couple of months' time. So yeah, we're slightly concentrating on those, but we are not taking our eye off the future, because that would be, I think, naive to do so.
Yeah. And again, next question, are you looking for fast turnarounds right now? I guess the answer is it's a bit of both.
Yeah, it's a bit of both. And I think I'd advise people not to focus on fast turnaround as the USP of the idea, or as the strongest point. And we have had some of those where you go, look, here's this, and it can be made super cheap, and it can be made in 1 week's time and on the telly, and you go, that's brilliant. But the idea still has to be good enough to go on ITV main channel. You know, we still have levels of expectation, and we're not just going to commission something just to fill a hole. And again, I think time has proven, with the stuff that's going out at the moment, sometimes you just need to hold your nerve a little bit. And in some places, we have looked at putting on, say, a repeat of a Ninja Warrior or a Celebrity Chase or something like that, which still has the high production values, still feels glossy and entertainment, rather than a quick turnaround filmed at home type show, which isn't necessarily us. I mean, things may change, but that's where we're in at the moment. It is a bonus. If your idea can be turned around quickly, that's a great bonus. And never have I said so early in the process, great, and how quickly do you think you can make that show? You know, that is now a real kind of first question to ask, but it's not everything. It's great that it can be made quickly, and if you've got two ideas that are similar and one can be made quickly and one can't, then that's gonna be to your advantage. Yeah. But the idea still needs to be a brilliant idea.
Do you think that viewers are a little bit sort of less patient with the lockdown type shows now? Do you think maybe they are really a bit sick of seeing people essentially on Zoom calls on their TV?
I think we'll have to go and ask the great British public. Yes and no. I am, if I'm honest. Yeah, I'm not everyone. But when I stick my TV on, I want to be entertained.
Yeah.
I personally don't want always the world I'm in shown back at me. If I do want that, I might watch This Morning for a bit of what's going on at the moment. I'll turn to the news for my daily dose of information. But in the evening, I'm generally wanting to be entertained and not reminded about coronavirus. And I think it's incredibly hard. It's incredibly hard if you're a long-running program that can't do or can't make the same show that you used to make. I think it's really hard right now to do a version of it. And some are working better than others. We've just done Celebrity Juice in lockdown. And I think the guys did an amazing job on that, because when you watch that show, you could almost take your eyes off the screen for a second and everything you're hearing is still like normal Juice. And they still had the banter. They still had the anarchy. Keith is obviously great in that vehicle. But everyone bought into it. They got them doing games and stuff. And I think that's the key thing. The show has to still feel like that show. It can't now feel like a special isolation version. That's when viewers, I think, will go, not so sure.
There has been a question, actually. Are you worried that lockdown shows are damaging their brands?
Well, we haven't done too many, so I would like to think that we're not falling into that. Yeah. As I say, it's incredibly hard. You look at Graham Norton, and I watch that show weekly without fail. It's not the same show, and we all know why. They can't make it the same. You know, it's incredibly difficult. But what would you rather? Have no Graham Norton on air at all, or have a version of Graham Norton? It's tricky, but we're taking the kind of direction that we will try and stay as much as possible like the ITV entertainment that you knew before.
Yeah.
And yes, I think people will tire of watching people on Zoom chats.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Okay, so next question. How do you think freelancers can best use their time now to develop and prepare for when commissioning does ramp back up again?
Well, Well, like I say, in some ways, not a lot has changed. I mean, everything has changed, but not a lot has changed. And development is one of the few areas, probably, you know, the freelancers who are in production have got so many friends who are now out of work and, you know, don't know when the next job is coming in. Development, in a way, can still happen at home. Development teams, although maybe are reduced, you can still get together on Zoom and brainstorm. You can still go over ideas. You can still come up with ideas. So not a lot of that has changed. And I've been doing an awful lot of meetings about new ideas or steers. I'd say maybe even more so than before Corona. I think don't tailor your ideas to isolation and lockdown, for us anyway. Just concentrate on something that would have worked before, and without stating the complete obvious, make sure you're aware of what's working at the moment. What are people liking on TV at the moment, and what of the isolation shows are working and which ones aren't, because some of them definitely aren't and some of them are. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that's good, thank you. So with the whole coronavirus thing, when we come out of this period, do you think it's going to mean changes for what you're going to need to commission?
Not massively, I don't think. Before we got into all of this, you know, when we would do something like this, or an interview, or you know, a chat with indies, the kind of buzzwords we would always say were, we're looking for warm, feel good, inclusive shows, original but familiar, and off the back of Masked Singer, slightly bonkers. And now I think all those terms are still true, and we want them even more. So to use a dodgy phrase, in a way we were ahead of the curve, because what we wanted then, we really want now. It hasn't changed.
So going into kind of a little bit more about freelancers and how they can spend their time. So people have been telling ScreenSkills that they're using the downtime to brainstorm a lot. What would be your top tips for working up ideas into treatments or creating pitches and sizzles like during this period?
Ooh, top tips. You'll have to look at my CV and see how much I've got away to see whether it's worth following my top tips. Look, sizzles are great. I think sometimes, well, I feel like we're seeing sizzles more than we ever used to before. And that's brilliant. I love a sizzle. They're very easy to watch for, you know, a few minutes and get everything you need to from that, instead of having to read a document. And people are getting quite creative with sizzles now. You get the kind of clip-based ones, which are full of stuff on the internet all put together and give you a feel for it. Or you get a purpose shot one, which is maybe a tiny snippet of the program, almost like a pilot of a pilot of a pilot. But then also we're seeing these kind of SketchUp ones now for like quiz shows and game shows, where they've made the set and you get the whole format is kind of played out, but without any people, just in this kind of 3D virtual SketchUp world, which are incredible. But they're not the be all and everything. I'm more than happy, as are all of our team, I know, and hopefully all commissioners, to receive a document or a presentation. It doesn't have to be a sizzle. They're great, but you know, they take time, they can take money, and sometimes the idea doesn't need it. So it's all about what feels right for the idea. In terms of tips, I'd say, based on my own experience, when you're just in your own little cocoon, you're thinking of ideas and you're thinking, I always found it beneficial to go away from the idea. So if I'm on a game show and keep coming back to this game show, leave it for a bit, go and work on something completely different, have a brainstorm about something different, and maybe leave it for a few days and then come back to it. And when you do come back, sometimes you look at it in a whole different way. Sometimes you come back and go, yeah, I'm a genius, you know, nothing to change there. But more often than not, you'll come back with a new thought and you'll revisit, you'll change it. And I think that's quite good to keep doing until you're ready to pitch it, and then get it out there. You know, you don't have to sit on these ideas at the moment. We're here and we're operational. So
do you not really have a preference then in terms of preferring a top line or a document or a sizzle? It's just...
Sorry, you're obviously reminding me that I haven't properly answered the question.
No.
I don't really have a preference. It all depends on the idea. I am quite... What I'm not a massive fan of is getting several ideas in at once, and each of them has a lengthy document to them, because that's just hard to process. I also want to feel that the indie or the producer really believes in this idea. So if you send 10, it's almost like you're going, any of these any good? You know? So I would prefer 1 or 2 worked up and sent with a deck, great, or a few, but top line kind of a paragraph or so, you know, and then I'll get back to you straight away. I like to think I'll get back within a week, if not definitely 2 weeks, with a response. And it might be, thanks very much, but we're going to pass on this occasion. Or it might be, let's have a chat and let's take it further. Yeah.
Someone's asking now, within the deck, are you thinking about 2 to 3 slides per idea?
Yeah, you know what? It varies so much, and it depends on the idea. Like, I know it feels like a cop-out of an answer, but it really does. Some ideas you can sell in 2 to 3, not too long. There is 1 or 2 people that I can think of off the top of my head, and they always send a treatment that's too long. And you just lose your trail of thought somewhere in there. You know, if you can't get the idea across in 3 slides, I'm not saying the detail takes time, but if you can't sell the idea in 3 slides, then you should be looking at how you're selling it.
Well, I guess the whole idea of like an elevator pitch, you need to have that idea kind of in a concise way to be able to sell it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So leading on from that then, can you name any sort of standout pitches that you've ever received?
I would love to tell a story of an amazing pitch that involved props and people talking in voices or wearing costumes, but I don't have one yet. So if anybody would like to pitch either on Zoom or when this is all over and blow me away so that when I get asked this question again, I can tell this story, I'd really like that. I've heard so many fables, if you like rumors of, oh, when they pitched this, they did this, and when they pitched that. And I always wanted to be part of one of those pitches. I always wanted to go in and do that. In fact, when I was at studios, we were working on a show, and I believe when the team went and pitched it, it was for a Wild West themed show, and they all went in cowboy outfits, and they had got into the controller's room before the controller was in there, and decorated it with hay bales and made it all like the Wild Wild West. To date, they haven't had that commission, so maybe it's not worth it. But at least we'd be able to answer this question. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Pitches can all start feeling the same, and that's no one's fault. But just trying to do that little something that takes you off does make you stand out. There is one that I've had recently where they came and they rolled out a map across the page, and they had a briefcase, and they opened up the briefcase and got out some props that they then placed on the map. That was great, because already you were like, what's this? I'm interested. So a little bit of flair never goes amiss.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed watching Quiz, and they kind of dramatise the whole commissioning process of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and they just won over with the gameplay. Yeah,
you know what? Getting commissioners to play your game is a real fine line. And one that I would advise you try to second guess whether that commissioner likes it or not. I know certain people who hate to play. Literally, they do not want to play. They want to hear the idea and maybe see it be played, but not play. I don't know what category I'm in because I love to play, but I will love to play so much that I'll get really into the game and get competitive. And then at the end of the meeting, when you ask me whether you like the idea or not, I won't have paid any attention because I'll just be focused on whether I won or lost the game. So I would always weigh up whether you want the commissioner to play or not. And if you do, let them win.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, so on the flip side of all of that, and don't name any names, obviously, but have you got an example of a pitch that hasn't gone very well and why?
Oh God, yeah, there was this one from. Yes. I would say, like, just blanket. Don't make sure you engage with the commissioner. Sorry if all of this is absolutely patronising. Most of you will know it anyway. But make sure you engage with the commissioner. I have had someone come in and just talk at me, like literally from the second we sat down, just talk at me, and I didn't get a word in edgeways, and it was just, there was no time to breathe, there was no time to consider or to check, oh, do you mean that, or is that it was just full on, and they never really explained the idea, and that's instrumental. Like, you have to be able to, like, sometimes it just pays to at the top just go, right, so first thing we bring you is a new game show, and at least you go, okay, it's a game show, right, go on. But if you just go, so you start and the host will say, like, well, where am I? Am I in a studio? Is it a game show? What territory is it? So yeah, I have had one of those, and I'm glad to say it's only one. Some have come close, but only one really bad.
I do remember you telling me once about someone coming in and basically dissing ITV for you for half an hour.
That doesn't go down well. We all love a gossip. We all absolutely love a gossip, and a bit of a nit-nat, and a bit of a chat, and oh, who's here and who's there, and did you hear this? But the occasion you're referring to was very brazen. They literally chose to come in and slag off another commissioner, and obviously that didn't sit very well with me. So try to be nice about ITV if you're going to come and try and sell something to ITV.
Oh, great. So there's probably a lot of people on this call now that you've not worked with before. So how would you recommend building up a relationship with you or other commissioners too?
I would say all of our team are quite are very approachable, and I'm not just saying that for a PR thing. We are. Katie Rawcliffe has come in, and it's quite a new team, and it's full of program makers, which isn't always the case in commissioning. But in the team right now, we have got a lot of people who have made big, small, varied, like proper entertainment shows. So they've been there and done it. And that means that they're, you know, we know what it's like being on the other side of the table. I've been in many development teams and pitched to many commissioners. So I think that's why I have a real thing about I must get back to people. And again, I'm not just saying that to big up myself, but I do because I know what it's like when you're waiting for that answer. So I would say that the best thing to do is just get in touch. We are all very approachable. Our website, which Alex, you might know better than I do, but I think it's itv.com/commissioning.
Yeah, I believe
and you
so.
click on the entertainment tab.
Yeah.
You'll find the whole team there. There is an email address there for the team, but I'm quite happy for people to email me direct. And yeah, I will respond within 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah, he does respond as well. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, email first. I think that's the best thing. Don't just call me up and start going, I've got this idea.
Yeah. Okay, so he's kind of answered the next question, but just kind of following on from that.
Can I just say, can we have your email? Yes, of course. It's kevin.o'brien, no apostrophe, OBRIEN @itv.com. I know a lot of people don't give out their personal email addresses, but what the heck? What can you lose, eh?
Cool. So just kind of following on from that, if anyone were to approach you, do they have to be attached to a well-known production company, or can people send in their ideas?
Like freelance individuals?
Yeah.
Anyone can get in touch. That's fine. Absolutely anyone can get in touch. But it probably makes more sense if you are a AP producer and you've got a great idea. I would say it's probably better that you take it to an indie that you have a relationship with, or an indie who you think is perfect for it, and try and team up with them. You don't have to be teamed up with someone in order to pitch something, but we would only end up kind of encouraging you to team up with someone anyway, and they might just help you kind of flesh it out or put the icing on it, that if you didn't have it before, it might not go anywhere, but with their backing and with their input, they might make it more of a rounded idea to make it more likely that we're going to take it somewhere.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that, Kev, because I know a lot of people have been asking that question. Do you think maybe you could give us like, I know it'll differ from show to show, but an approximate timescale, sort of how things go from being pitched to you loving the idea, and then to it actually getting commissioned?
No. Unhelpfully, no. It honestly, it varies so much.
Yeah.
But throughout my career anyway, I've always been amazed at how long it takes. You know, people outside of our industry, they think just things just pop up on the telly, you know, and even within the industry, actually, you see something on broadcast going, oh, Channel 4 are going to do this, which probably means it's been made and is going to be TXing very soon, and then it pops up on TV. It's, you know, we all know that is not the reality. The reality is it starts with an email to someone like me. I then will probably go and share that idea with the team or a fellow commissioner, then come back to the indie and we'll talk about it a bit more. We'll get it to a place where I feel like we can pitch it to Head of Entertainment Katie Rawcliffe, and then we'll probably go through a bit more development. Then at some stage, if we're thinking, yep, this is a real goer and we want to take it to the next level, and that next level could be a run through, it could be a pilot, it could be some paid development, all manner of different things. We might then take it to Kevin Ligo and you know, see his thoughts on it, and then it might change again. And we're constantly throughout all of this, you're working with the indie. And I hate it whenever people talk about indies working like two commissioners, or the commissioner doesn't want that. Or it is a collaborative thing. That's how it should be. Certainly on the project I've got under my belt, when I don't get one away, I'm gutted, because I personally feel like I haven't got something away. That's how it should be. We should be in it together. So it should never be they want this, you want this. It should always be like an extra member of the team. And what we try and do is bring a bit of ITV insight. So we'll go, look, I think if we do this, it's got more chance, or we should probably stay away from that because we know that we've got that. So use us. Don't see us as the enemy. Use us. And then to come back to the actual question, how long does it take? It can take forever. It can be really quick. These coronavirus shows, to give you one example of one that we've done, Home Alone with Joel Dommett, which I think of a lot of the Home Alone show, a lot of the isolation shows, looks incredible, and they've done a really good job on it, because it doesn't feel like I'm just watching a Zoom in Joel's house. That was pitched, developed with the Commissioner Pete Tierney, and turned around for TX. Gosh, it must be 6 weeks, less than.
It might have been less than that, yeah.
It was really quick. And they were bold enough that they were like, we're just going to do it. We're going to do one and see what happens. And then they did it. It went well. Everyone liked it, and they commissioned some more. But if you want a big, shiny floor Saturday night extravaganza, it could be over a year. In my time in development at ITV Studios, I worked on Survival of the Fittest, the kind of Love Island spin-off show that was in South Africa. We worked on that for it was probably a year until it got away, and it was always close and it was always there, but it was a lot of tweaking and just developing and changing and working with ITV2 and the channel and the commissioning team to tailor it. So it really, really, really varies, but it does take a lot of patience sometimes.
Could you give people a bit of an idea of like how many other people it has to go through before it's greenlit? So obviously you might get behind an idea, but there's a lot of more barriers, I guess, to it actually getting commissioned.
You have to, God, I mean, especially if you're a researcher and you have an idea, the chain of command it has to go through to get on telly is incredible. But let's say an indie has brought an idea to us, it will probably go to someone like me first. I'll share with the team. We different commission teams work in different ways. Under Katie, in her entertainment team, we are very collaborative. We share a lot of information. We get together as much as we can, even, and you'll vouch for this because you know, even during lockdown at the moment, we're getting together every Friday to just do a roundup of, I have this idea, this idea came in, I thought it was quite interesting. And we share because, you know, you can't just as one person go, no, I don't think that's good, and shut it all down. So we try as much as possible to share the ideas around, and then we'll share them with Katie and present them to Katie. The next step from Katie would be to take them to Kevin Ligo and Rosemary Newell, and then a bit more development, and then they would have the ultimate say. But let's not forget, there's always the business side of it that comes in. So there's money to think about. There's how much is it costing? When can we deliver it? Blah, blah, blah. There's lots of things you have to tick before we get there. But generally speaking, it's first step commissioner, then head of entertainment, then head of television, for us anyway.
Yeah. Great. So on to final question, then we'll open up to the floor and I'll ask some of these questions people have been sending through. Yeah. But have you got any more of Kev's top tips for someone who has an idea they're passionate about to pitch to you?
I would say work on it until you're happy with it and ready to pitch it. So don't pitch it too soon. You know, sometimes you only get one stab at it. So make sure it is ready. And that doesn't mean that everything is covered. You know, not asking for every single little thing to be thought about, but just maybe test it out on a couple of people or something, and just make sure you're happy with, you know what it is. That's important, actually. You have to know what it is and be a real believer in it. And then once you're ready, then pitch it. So don't pitch it too soon. When you pitch it, be open to it being a collaborative process. I don't think anyone has ever pitched something that has then stayed exactly like that on screen. There are always tweaks and changes. And, you know, if I suggest something, it is not, it's not always right, obviously, but it's only ever to try and help it get made. So be open to criticism, be open to change, and try to make it original in some way. You know, I know people sometimes think that ITV dig up a lot of old formats or all the ideas are the same old ideas. But if you look at something like The Masked Singer, which is a great example, The Masked Singer is just another singing show. And ITV just do singing shows, and here's another singing show. But it's so much more than that. It's a massive guessing game. It's a big play-along show. It's not offering a big singing contract at the end. It's not taking itself really seriously. All those things are original to the singing show format, which makes the show feel original. Hence our phrase earlier, original but familiar. You should feel, I know what kind of show this is. I'm familiar with this show. I like this surrounding. I like those people on it, but I've never seen it done like this. Not easy to get right, but that's a key thing.
Great. Thanks, Kev.
Thank you.
Top tips. So I've got people have been asking loads of questions, so I've just set a few aside for you now. First of all, why did you decide to move into the world of commissioning?
Yeah, why did I? You know what? A large part of it was because of the person, hopefully she never hears this because it might sound a bit kiss ass, the person who offered me, and that was Katie Rawcliffe. I'd worked with her on and off at ITV and directly for a good couple of years. And I knew the kind of person, the kind of boss she was going to be, the kind of department she was going to lead. And when she was telling me about the other people that she wanted to get or had got, I felt like we were going to be a good team. I can honestly say, and no one believes me when they hear me say it, I never thought about being a commissioner. I will first and foremost always consider myself a program maker, and still do. I like to have ideas. I like the creative process. So I was scared of that. When Katie came and offered it, I was scared that I was going to lose that, and I was going to become, a desk job and really competitive with all my peers and just sit around saying no all day long. But it's really not that. It is just as creative. And you get to work with all these amazing people and amazing indies and hear about a load of ideas that you'd have never heard about. And so since saying yes, I haven't looked back, and hopefully won't, because I'm really enjoying it at the moment.
Good. We've had quite a few people ask a similar question, but I'm going to take this one. So how would a freelancer pitch to you, and how could they protect their ideas? So I think a lot of people are concerned about, you running off with their idea.
Yeah, that is like an age-old question in TV. And I still, to this day, don't think there is a prim and proper answer for it. Yeah. I've been there myself and had an idea which I didn't want to lose. But at the same time, I wanted to get it made. So it's really difficult. It's really difficult. Hopefully, you want to get the thing made. And that should be your motivation above anything else. It shouldn't be, about the royalties and I want to make millions out of it. You want to get it made. And that means you have to get it out there. You can't just sit on it. As far as I know, and I could be wrong, and ScreenSkills or Pact or Broadcast might pick me up on it, but it's very, very difficult to copyright an idea. People try it, but I don't think by the book you can do that. So there has to be a little bit of a leap of faith at some point where you share the idea and you trust the person you're going to share it with, and you're quite honest about it, and you just want to get it heard. And then, we have to try and work with you to get it made. And it might vary drastically from where it started. And I have had good experiences of it and bad. And I think lots of people in our industry have. And it's a really, really hard thing to do. But I would say, think about why you've come up with that idea and kind of what's your main motivation for it, and hopefully that should be get it on the telly.
Yeah. I quite like this question. Just kind of leads back into what are we going to be looking for when sort of coronavirus is over. Are you looking for content that bring the community together? Yes, but not wholeheartedly. We're not outwardly. We quite often don't give briefs, and we don't give strong steers anyway, because we're really annoying, and we just say bring us your good ideas, and then we work on them. So we're not saying, we really want programming that's going to bring communities together, please bring us those ideas. But we definitely wouldn't say no to those ideas. I imagine we're going to get pitched quite a lot of that. I imagine we'll get pitched quite a lot of surprise style feel-good shows for when this all ends. But the trouble there is a lot of those stories are being covered at the moment,
whether that be on the One Show or This Morning or Steph's show. There, there is a lot of platforms for those shows. Those stories. And come the end, when we come out of all of this, I'm not sure whether we're all going to want to be reminded of what we've just gone through, or whether we want something like The Masked Singer just to blow us away and take us to somewhere completely different. Yeah. So yes and no to that one.
Do ideas need to have a big name presenter attached to them?
No, they absolutely don't. What helps is, it helps if the indie or the individual can think about who they think would be right for an idea. Say you've got a new game show, rather than just go, here's the idea of the game show, to put a slide at the end that says, we were thinking someone like this would be my advice. That's how I would do it. I wouldn't say, and we think it should be X, because then you've kind of nailed your colours to the mast, so to speak. Not that we would throw it out just because of that name, but just be open. But if you give us 4 or 5 names, then we'll get a flavour, we'll get an idea of what you think works for it. Sometimes companies will bring us ideas and the talent is attached. Great. Sometimes they're not. Doesn't matter. Can be either way.
Great. Thank you. So kind of more specifically about types of programming, do you think US style late night talk shows could work in the UK?
Now look, I'm no expert, but they've been running an awful long time and no one's brought one over here yet. So there's got to be a reason for that. You might remember ITV's kind of ill-fated attempt at a American style nightly chat show called The Nightly Show. That didn't fly, and I don't know whether that is because the UK audience weren't up for something like that or other reasons, but we just don't tend to make those shows. And like I say, being relatively new to commission, I wonder whether that is because they've been tried in the past and haven't quite worked. Yeah. Or Graham Norton is our version of that, and it's quite different actually to the American style. It's more entertainment. It's a bit more LE. Yeah, I don't think James Corden could necessarily come and make that exact same late show here, and it be an instant success. I'm not sure.
Great, thank you. Okay, got a few questions about commissioning in time of Corona. Will ITV be increasing their commissions to fill the lack of programmes being made at the moment, or will it be business as usual when lockdown ends and it's safe to film?
Business as usual is the term of the day. We have had, it's no secret, we have had budget cuts, as have a lot of the broadcasters. So it's not like we are going, right, we've got all this extra stuff. Yes, some things have not happened. Some programs have had to be cancelled, but we still want to do a lot of those. I know in entertainment, we had a couple of shows lined up that we were very excited about that we have had to put on hold, but it's not like they've gone away. We just hopefully will be doing them later. And right now we are choosing to, rather than launch a brand new show on a Saturday night and have to do it with restrictions and compromises, and it not be the show that we wanted to put out, we're choosing to hold and sit on it and maybe make it towards the end of the year or next year when we can make it to its full potential, and we can make the show that we want to make rather than a compromised version of it.
Yeah. Kind of following on from that, will you be looking for shows that don't require audiences? Who knows when we'll be allowed to have big gatherings again?
Yes and no. Audiences is really tough. I think, obviously, in entertainment, we're struck harder than anyone when it comes to audiences. I'm not saying poor me, but you think of a normal, think of any show, think of any kind of Ellie studio show. Let's take The Chase Celebrity. The Chase Celebrity, don't know if everyone knows, but is filmed in front of a celebrity an audience, not a celebrity audience, that would be impossible, but in front of an audience. And the reason for that is you get a laughter, you get claps, you get a chuckle, you get ooh, ah, you get all this feedback that gives the celebs something to feed off. So when a celeb throws out a joke and gets a laugh, they then follow it up with another bit of a comedy or something. And when you get a clap, you know, you feed off that. When you take that audience away from a show, you're taking away like its soul. You're taking away a killer part of it that you don't necessarily even see on screen. So we are daily having conversations about shows without audiences and how we're going to tackle that. And I think what we are starting to see is indies be quite creative in how they are going to tackle that problem. I've had shows pitched to me that have had lots of celebrities playing, and therefore with loads of celebs playing and a great host, maybe you don't need the audience quite as much as you did. There's been shows pitched where they've talked about a social distancing audience, which would be a limited audience sitting a safe distance apart from each other. Now, not necessarily on screen, but just to give that feedback. I don't know where we're heading. We will know more after Sunday, but it is high on our agenda is what we're going to do about studio audiences. And in short, sorry, I've waffled, but yes, we will consider studio shows without an audience.
Yeah.
But we would much prefer they had one.
Can you say anything about discussions are happening about this year's I'm a Celeb?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
We are going to try all we can to put I'm a Celebrity on air. I have personally worked on 8 series of that show. I now am the commissioner on that show. I spoke to the team just today about it and do so regularly. We will go above and beyond to try and get I'm a Celebrity on the telly this year. But right now I couldn't say whether we are going to or not. All I can say is we will do everything in our power to get there. And we just want it to happen.
You've just been talking a little bit about The Chase, but given the success of Beat the Chases, are you looking for more stripped shows?
Funny enough, we spoke about this with Kevin just the other day, and he joked that a quiz show stripped across the week has never worked. Just look at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which actually, still thinking about now, I don't know whether that's a joke or not. But it obviously it did work for that, and it worked incredibly for Beat the Chasers. What you can't underestimate with Beat the Chasers is that show's great. The format is great. It's a good quiz, and Bradley's great. We all know that. But The Chase has built up that loyal audience over many, many years. So what we were doing by stripping Beat the Chasers is not stripping a brand new show that you knew nothing about. We were stripping original but familiar. You were familiar with The Chase. You like The Chasers, but you've never seen them all on one show. You've never been hit with the idea that one contestant could take on all 5 chasers. So we were giving the viewers something they really knew, but a brand new twist on it. And it was, it proved to be great because it did absolutely brilliant in the ratings. So I think to answer the question, yes, we would consider, but we're not now going stripping is the answer. Let's strip everything.
Yeah, great. I think we've got time for about 2 more quick questions.
Hey, I'm not going anywhere.
Are you worried about the amount of reality and fact-sense shows that Netflix, etc., are churning out?
Yes and no. I feel like I said yes and no to every single question. yes, you know, for years we were like, oh, the SVODs are coming, the SVODs are coming. That is no longer the case. The SVODs are absolutely here, and they are a major force to be reckoned with. But it's still different, you know. You've got things like Love is Blind, which will come out and everyone is talking about. And certainly for us in TV, you know, that came out just before lockdown. A lot of people in our department were talking about it, and around ITV I'd hear people talking about it. And it felt like, wow, everyone's into Love is Blind. But let's not forget, we all work in telly and we all watch telly. My mum has no idea what Love is Blind is. She's only just learnt what Netflix is. Sorry, Mum, if you're watching. So yes, we are worried because they're coming with loads of money and offering kind of like, oh, we'll do this, and they will take up some of the ideas that maybe normally would have fallen to the normal terrestrial broadcasters. But there is still an amazing power that comes with having your reality show on ITV1 or ITV2. You know, ITV2, that daily drop of a little bit more. You know, Netflix, you consume 3-4 Love is Blinds in one evening, and that's great. That's the power of them. But then after 3 nights and you've done the series, you're done. Where'd you go then? Whereas Love Island on ITV2, and obviously that's horrific news that's going this year, but we'll be back. Just getting that daily dose, and then going into work the next day and talking about it with your friends or your colleagues, and then reading about it in the press, and then you get your first look at lunchtime where you see a little bit of tonight's episode, and you know it takes over people's lives for like 6 to 8 weeks, and then you're watching ITV and you're watching the other shows around ITV. So I still think there is a great draw to having reality shows on the main channels, but obviously competition is now more fierce than it's ever been before.
Yeah. This is cruel and you won't know the answer to it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Can you tell us what's going to fill the X Factor slot this autumn?
I could, but then I would be shot. Also, it would then be wrong tomorrow and probably the day after that, because things are changing at the moment. It is a difficult time. It's not just difficult for indies, it's difficult for us as well. We are constantly looking at the schedule and revising and tweaking and changing. So in short, no, I can't. What I can tell you is we will do our utmost to bring you pure entertainment, something that is high production value and you can just watch and enjoy, and hopefully for an hour or so forget the miserable lockdown world that we're all in.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Kev.
Thank you, Alex.
And thanks everyone for all your great questions. They were lovely. And I hope this was really helpful. And I'm sorry I couldn't get around to asking everybody's questions, but I hope somewhat answered there for you. Yeah,
can I just finish by saying, thank you, Alex, for doing this. I launched it on you last minute, so I really appreciate you doing it, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
But also that we understand that these are really, really difficult times at the moment, and they're new. It's new for all of us. You know, none of us know exactly what the future holds, but we are carrying on. Work carries on. We are still commissioning shows. We are still making shows, and it has been really, really overwhelming to the response we've had from indies pitching new stuff and just knocking on our doors saying, what do you want? Like, what can we do? How can we get stuff away? How can we help? So don't be put off by thinking, oh my God, you know, nothing's going to happen, nothing's getting away, commissioners won't even answer us, or they've got no money or stuff like that. It is still business as usual. Yes, there are cuts, but we are still commissioning. So please don't sit there and think there's no point. Come to us, drop us an email, and work with us. We're still keen to get stuff away. And you know, one of you will have the next big idea, I'm sure. So we want you to be bringing those ideas to us. And it's not like things have changed for us. We're still working. I'm still in my 5-year-old's bedroom every single day on Zoom looking for ideas. So talk to us and don't suffer in silence.
Yeah. And I'll just say as well, I know ScreenSkills are running loads more of these sessions if you found it useful, and I know a lot of people from our team are doing them too. So do sign up if you thought this was good.
Yes, thank you to ScreenSkills for putting this on.
Great. Thanks, guys.